if we just define the strings, we say that all the characters which are enclosed within single quote or the double quotes are the string. Okay. So we say this as a string, let's say. This is a Python string. So string should always be enclosed within double quotes or a single quotes. Okay, and it could be like, let's say x is equals to a string and y is equals to a string. So there is no such difference when you write a string between some double quotes or a single quote. When you write a string in multi-line strings, so you make some triple quotes there, and then you write this is a multi-line string, and that is a multi-line string, and the slash n what you see is basically used to print a new line, if you know these things. Okay, then okay, let's just close this. So whenever you just write any sentence or any let's say any word, let's say a, and then you write slash n, then you write b, so that is after the a you want a next line, new line, and then after you want to print b. So there are a lot of things inside a string to be worked on. Still people coming. Let me wait here for 30 seconds more. Nice. Anyone more there? Got a doubt? Quick question: if my input is integer, I have to print it's a number, and if my input is string, I have to print it's a string. Can you speak what exactly you want? Don't write it speaking. I'll get it much clearer.
Yes, actually it was like I've derived another question from your question yesterday assignment. So it's like if it is 1, we have to print hello, and if it is 0, we have to print howdy, and if it is something else, we have to print greetings. Rather, I thought if it is a value like integer, we have to print its value. If it is a string, we have to print it is a string. I was unable to do that.
Actually, these assignments I made some years ago, and it was like some questions might be not proper. See, that is exactly you have to take a variable name as number and let it be an input from the user, and tell user to enter character. And what are the characters? What you said? Either 1 or
1, 0, and
what? Like this. 3 other things. So, like if this number is equals to 1, so you have to print, right, that is an integer or whatever it is asked. Like that you can go. And if it is, or elif you can go with the hottie, or else you can go with the 0, the 3 points. So if the number is 1, print out the respective things and whatever the statement will be, and after that you can see if it is not 1, so see the next condition. Elif you can go with this if the number is equals to equals to 40. Right, then you print the respective statement again, and if the number is equals to 0, so print there the statement, and for rest other than this, print invalid input. Okay. that is how you can run this program. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Alright. So in a string, there are a lot of methods to be discussed. Now if we just quickly see up all the methods, so we can write it as help and then we can write as str. Okay, in the first assignment there might be a question how to check the Python version you are using, or like the system version, something was there. So many students have doubt on that too. So you can do it like import your sys and then check sys.version. You'll get the version. Okay, if you want the information of this version for more further, you can get it version and info. Yeah. Version info. And for more detail of what sys does, just write help and you will get the things over there. So there are built-in methods for this sys, right? So many times we use this get size of, which returns the size of an object in bytes, and this is specifically used many times. We'll see how we use that things. Okay, how many are still left there? Oh god, 29. Fine. Okay. No, this. Okay, so a string is in the beginning. If you see up the help of a string, we have seen right here. So the very first thing in a string methods is the capitalize, and then the center, the count. So I'll just quickly write up all the operations so that you can get it. Okay. So let's consider a string named as a, and this is, let's say ML is the, what is that, subset of AI. Okay, this is a string. Now how many characters inside this? 22, correct. Now if you want to make this M as the capital one, that is, whenever you want to make the first letter of the first word or the first letter of the sentence to be capitalized, only the first letter. So what you can write is print a dot capitalize. So you can see ML is a subset of AI and only the first letter to be capitalized. Alright, the capital. Now if you want every letter of the every first letter of the word to be capital, in that case you can write a dot title. This will make every first letter of the word is in the capital, right? And for checking whether this is a lowercase or a uppercase, you can write it as what is this, a. So is it a lowercase, right? That is every of the word or every character is in the lower cases. So that is true. So similarly, you can just write upper. Okay. So these are the common operations, so basic operations what everyone do. Okay. Now there is something called as swap case. Now what happens in the swap case? The name only suggests you right that you will be swapping the cases. That is, the lower will be becoming the upper will be in the lower, and that will be done right. The cases will be swapped. You run this, and something is fine. Okay, correct. So everything is in the lower cases, right? So we are getting something as everything in the upper case. Let's make another string. Let's say this is artificial intelligence. Okay, and here we are using swap case. So you can see the capital to be in the lower and the lower in the upper cases. That is how swap. Why in this everything is capital? Because if you see up your string, that is total lowercase. So everything there would be obviously in the upper cases. Okay. Now let's say that yesterday I might have done with some of the format methods too. Like if you say x is equals to this and y is equals to this, curly braces, there you actually use this format. So formatting can be used like whatever the values you want, put the braces inside the string, and then you can write x is equals to 12 and 14, let's say. So anything, right, can be done with this. Write str format. No. So inside the string, if you see, so it returns a formatted version of a string and using substitutions from the arguments and the quarks. Okay, right? So you just write the string dot format and the arguments, and it does thing. Similarly, right, to check whether a string is uh, alphanumeric or not. So there you can just write some numbers, some letters, alphanumeric, done. Now, the point to be focused is like when you say that, let's say, quality education. Okay, let's say this is a word, and you want to find something for the Q. So, what find does? So, Q is in the zero position, right? The indexings and all. Okay, that is in the zero position. So let's say if we just want to find the Q, occurrence of the Q. So we are getting it in the zeroth position, right? Similarly, if we just find out the N, so you will see this in the 16 position. That 16 means that if you find the length, it would be obviously 70. So the index would be 16, right? Now, if I say that I want to find QUALITY, so that is in the 0. Now if I write quality education, still the answer is 0. Now what is the difference there, right? In every of the thing. Like the student makes mistakes, so these kind actually have a misconception. So what find does, it actually finds the first occurrence, whatever the thing you have written inside the parenthesis, it will find the very first index number of the first letter you have written. So Q lies there, right? Remove this, run this. So U lies in the first position, and you're getting is 1. So remove everything, run this. You can see the index position of E, that is 8. But when you find something which is not present inside a string, right? When you try to find such a subset of a string which is not even present inside the string, then you get the output as -1. Okay, -1. This is to be remembered because the question will be asked like many times. Question will be asked like, what is the outcome when we find this? The options will be given to you, and like you have to select the correct one. Now index can be also find using the index function. So index of this Q 0. What is now here if I find the index of R? So you can see there comes an error. Okay, so this is the difference between the index and the find method. So if you see the help of this str.find, so this returns the lowest index, right, in the S with substring if substring is found, right, and if it returns -1 on the failure, right, if it fails to find the string, it returns -1. But in the case of this index, in the case of index, it raises a value error, and that is to be focused. You can't say like it raises an error. So which error it raises? It raises a value error, right? That is to be very specific in saying of the things. Okay, so you can see up here too that we are getting a value error that substring is not being found. If you write here quality, okay. So that is 0 again. Okay, I think this is clear to you. Okay, next let's move to the next steps. So now case fold returns a version of a string for caseless comparisons. Caseless in the sense that everything would be in the lower cases. Okay, see guys, I rarely see this chat box. So if you have your doubts, you just speak out. Okay. Anvesha is asking, sir, why this first letter of artificial intelligence is in small letter? Uh, okay. In which cell number? Whenever you have doubt, you just say the cell number. You are asking for this A and this I, cell number 16?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So here you see what we have done. We have use the swap case function, and if we look to the swap case function, what it does, it changes the cases. It changes the case of whatever the string you have used. Like you have used artificial intelligence, and here A and I is in the uppercase. So if we swap up the A and I, that upper cases will be in the lower cases, and all the lower cases in the upper cases.
Got it, sir.
Next out, welcome. Can you explain this one with cell Mank? With cell number?
Yeah, say 18.
80. Okay, see. Alright, see. This is actually an help function. Okay, now whenever you have a doubt, many a times when you search on the web, you can see a lot of answers there, right? Many websites will give you many type of answers, but to be very specific and to be getting the correct information, what we use is the help function, right? That is actually the correct method to find. If you have any doubt regarding any of the data types or any modules or any functions, so like we are using this format function, right, this format function, and I want to see the what is this format actually. So this format is a function of the string. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll first write the data type, that is this is a string str, and in that we want to find the format description, or you can say format introduction, and then you just run this and it will just give you a helper format. So in place, if I just write as help of str, I'll get everything, right? So I don't require everything now, I only require the format one. So what format does, so you will get only this much part. Okay, so that is the 18th cell. Got it, Mank?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Similarly, we have done for the find and index. Okay, moving up now. Any more doubts there? So those who will be getting up the doubts, just speak in there. I'll clear it. Next we have. Okay, we saw the case fold and the what was there count. So let's say it is word, or let's say word pad, and this is then you say case hold. So what case hold does as a caseless comparison, right? A caseless comparison, you get a copy of a caseless comparison. Case hold. So return a version of a string suitable for the caseless comparison. So there is a difference between the lower and between the case hold, right? So what lower does, it returns a copy of a string converted to the lower case. Okay. And what case hold does, it returns a version of a string suitable for caseless comparisons. Okay. So I always prefer to go with the inbuilt descriptions and all given inside the Python. I never suggest anyone to just go and search for any particular website and learn from there. So they are everything inside this Python, inside the Anaconda. When you download of the things, you get every of the modules and all things. So why not to go with the original one? Why to go with some? What their websites do actually, they also take content from here and then just modify and then write it. Well, the basic thing is there written. Okay. So why to waste? Even you don't need internet to find all these descriptions. Just open Jupyter and write up the things and you will get it there. Okay, so this is for the lower. Now what is count? Now if I say that this is a word successful, and I want to count the number of occurrence of S or C, so it's 2, and like you can find the number of occurrence of any such word using the functions, right? What more is left? Center ends with fine, format have been done, alphanumeric, alpha and ASCII and all such. Yes, not much of the thing is being left. Okay, so like if you want to find the ASCII code of any string, you just pass the ordinal and pass the string name and you will get the ASCII codes as per right. Okay, so there could be a lot of operations on the basis of a string. There can be, right, you can use even the center, rjust, ljust. Now what are these things actually? Let's just say this is a which is equals to hello. Okay, and if I say this to print in the center, okay, oh sorry, there should be at least one argument, right? At most what position you want. So write the 10 in the gapping, like starting from the 10 centimeter and like not centimeter, right? So you pass on the things there. Similarly, you can even, right? So you can just see what it does actually. So help of this str dot center. So you get the padding difference, okay, and see default is a space. So 10 spaces given up there. Okay. Similarly, if you write a dot center and write 100 spaces, so you'll get there it in the 100 right spaces, 100 left spaces, and it could be. So what will be the middle of this notebook? Any predictions? 20 would work. No, 15 would work, or 105 would work. Okay, this is working. 115, 116 or 17 would work much better. All right, so center is something like that, right? Then we have ljust, right, and then we have rjust, and all these are the very basic one. And the most important, right, you have split in the string. So what ljust does, it return you a left justified string with the length width, right? So padding is done using the specified fill character. Default is always a space. So how LGist is done, right? Let's just say that this is LGist and write it using this. So you can see there. Similarly, RGist works. So just a version of thing you are writing. Okay, fine. Moving up. All right. How many are there? I haven't seen the number of people in the group. It's 30. What about the fourth cell? Okay, fine. So these are the methods inside a string, and let's say what split does. Let's say this is A, B, C, D, E, and I want to split it, right? So if I don't write any of the parameter inside the parenthesis, it will be splitted up in a list with the by default with the gaps. Okay. So if I write A underscore B underscore C underscore D underscore E, sorry, underscore E, and I split it, and I write that wherever you find the underscores, split it from that area. So again, the same thing you'll be getting up. Okay. So this split works something like this. Okay. So you can even get the split working. So the delimiter, accordingly, what you write there, it will split, or you can say it will just, in the very simple words, it just remove up the parameters what you write inside the parenthesis, and then you get the substrings after removing it. Okay. All right. So it is working as sep, that is max split minus one self and all. You can write there. So this is all about the string. Next, coming up to the list, right? So what is a list? So if defining a list is particular collection of some ordered heterogeneous data type elements, where the elements can be repeated or duplicated and can do some basic or basic statistical problems with the list, right? So and it is defined with square brackets. So that is help of list, sorry, list, list. So help on the class list in the module built-ins. These are the built-in methods inside everything, and you can even use this all, get size of set item, label and all. So what is this size of does? Now let's say what I say that you can define a list with the square brackets. So just write up the elements, something is missing, and done. So what is the size of this X, right? Because whenever you come to programming section or whenever come to the data science world, in the data science, when you deal up with the data, that is very important to know how to get size, what is the memory your file is having. Let's just give an quick information to you. So it can be like what exactly is about the size. Let me just give you. BF and so like this is exactly the, like this is a data. Okay, we'll be discussing of the things, even we are going to make a model on this data set. Okay, so this is a data set which is having these much size, right? And if you write sys dot get size of this df, so 32, or you can say it as 3,28,000, around 300 plus KB. And if we just write df dot the information, So it's 80 plus 6 KB it is saying, okay, the memory usage. So this is how in the that was in the KBs. Okay, what does this say exactly? 3. Okay, it's 3 times 28. Fine. So index is having 128 bytes. Survived is having 7128 bytes. It is having 700 128 bytes, and all like these are the spaces and the bytes it is being occupied up with. Okay, so let's say this is your X as a kind of a list, and we want to see the size of this list. So just like write size of and 112 bytes. Okay, some common operations. Now let's say when you have a list and uh, just take it something as companies. Okay, and you have some list of companies coming there to give internships in the college, and let it be Microsoft, let it be Google, and such like all. Okay, so these are the list of the companies having it. Now let's say there's another week coming and the next new company is coming in the college for the internship, and now what you do is you are making a list of all the companies for the year 2020 which is giving internships in your college. So previously you have these 3 names and now you want to add on more names as the new companies are also coming. So what you do whenever new company come or whenever you want to add any new thing in a list, you have 3 options, right? The 3 options are append, extend, and insert. Now where these 3 things are used, right? Let's say you want to add some one particular element, right? That can be done using the insert, and that can be done using the extend, and that can be even done with the using of the append. Now, what is the difference between the things then? Say, when you want to add one particular element using the append, what happens? The element get added to the last of the list or as the last element of the list always. So let's say if I write companies dot append HCL. So when you see this company list, HCL will be found at the last of the element. So this is the use of append. So it's append the object to the end of the list. Okay. Now, so what is the difference between that insert and extend as per respective to the append? So extend is something when you have multi elements to add in your list, right? More than one element to add on in your list, then you use this extend. It is kind hell. Okay, first let's just write it. So let's say this is an extend, and let's say there are a lot of companies coming up there. Yahoo, Indigo, let's take it right 3 of the elements. So more than one element if you want to write up there extend. What this also does, this also adds the value to the end of your list. If you can see your companies.
Make sure you got the I in IBGO.
Mm-hmm.
So you forgot the I in IBGO.
Okay. Oh, sorry. It should be. What is the spelling there? I have forgot the spelling actually. So this is GOI. What is that? BIBO, isn't it? What is that?
Yes, sir.
Is it correct? GOIBIBO.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I actually forgot. Alright, so you could see, right, so once you have defined it again, you are running. So what will happen that once you define of the things, and then you have to actually remove of this all. So I have run it for more 2 times, so you can see up the elements over there. Okay, that's fine, no issues. So this is what extend does. So it's add the element at the end of the list. What append does, it also add the element at the end of the list. Now,
So is there any specificity in using extend or append anywhere?
uh, see when
Both can be used.
both can be used for adding up the values, but when you write it as append, and when you write more than one value, let's say x, let's say y, so that would be done, right? That is com, but that will be done exactly as another list. Okay, that's the difference. When you use this particular thing in the extend, it will add the individual element as in the list. But when you write it in the append, it takes the parameter, there is no such difference, but it will add it as another list. Okay, that's the difference between the append and the extend. Got it?
Okay, sir.
So when you want a single element to be added, use append. For multi elements, always use extend. And when you want to add some values, not at the last, right? Let's say you want to add a value in some specific position, right? Or let's say in some particular index positions, right? You want to add something in the first position apart from the last. You want this xy to be added up in the first one. So you can use this insert, and then inside the parenthesis write the number where you want to add this value. Let's say we want to add in the second position, so 0, 1 and 2. So in place of Google, so Google is going to be shifted up 1 downwards, and there is the value to become right what we are going to write. So let's say it is the insert method, and now you could see your prompt to be insert, right? So there can be something in the second. Okay, this is all how we use these things. Now when you want to remove of the things, you have methods like dot remove any particular thing. Okay, so you have another option as doing pop, which removes the last element automatically, and you can see your comp as particular. For clearing a list, you can use this clear method, and that will be just cleared off. And you can even make a delete there, and you can do that. So X was a list. Now what are the things you can find at there? You can find the max of a list. You can find the minimum of a list. Even you can find the sum, and you can do all these things, right? Then you can make a y which could be an x dot copy, and even you can replace up the things inside a list to like editing of the things. Now these are actually mutable, right? When we come up in the tuples are also very similar to the list, but the difference is like the tuples you can't do any editing things, or you can just can't uh, edit once you have defined something in a tuple. So tuple is a collection of heterogeneous data, and uh, it starts, or it is defined inside one, or you can say the first braces, not the braces, sorry, the first brackets, okay, and there you could hold up the duplicate values. But the problem is once you define up the elements, you can just not even uh, change it, right? Once you define it, like we have changed for the x, if we just write it as y, and uh, write it as 1 2 3 4 5, so tuples are immutable, right? And you say y of 4 to be this 5. Now here if you write y of 4 to be 10 or something like this, it is not possible, right? The tuple does not support it there. So this could not be done. So what you can do with the tuples, there are very limited things what you can do with the tuples. So you can find the index, you can go with the count, that's all. Okay, That's it, right? You can go with the two methods inside tuple, and you can count it there. So it could be used like for such an input where you want to, where you don't want to actually edit the contents, or where you don't want to change your data, right? In that content you could use the tuples and all. Next, we coming up to the sets. Now, how the sets play an important role in this Python, okay? And what are set? So, till now, whatever we have seen in the case of a list, or let it be in the case of a tuple. So, if you see your tuple x, what is that? What is it made of? Y. So, if you see upper y, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you can add on, so you cannot just delete something or like edit something, but you can add something there, but not with some functions and all. You can add one tuple with another tuple. So let's say for making a tuple with one single element, you can just write the element and then you can just give a comma, and that could be done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3. So everything would be like kind of an append, like in the last you will be getting, and that's the only operation you can do there. The kind. So if you say like minus of this, so unsupported type, right? Yeah, so set is a collection of the data, what you write, but in some unordered way. We say it. Obviously, we find up things in the ascending to descending orders. Okay, if you have seen it there any time, so it is, yes, in the order of ascending to descending. Not always, but mostly. Okay, so let's say, or you can say according to the ASCII codes, you get it aligned the things there. So let's say the D is set A, B, C, D, and you find D as to be there. But what if I make it as F? What if I made it as A, this as B, and this as W, or the Z, or C, kind of thing? If we just run our D now, what you can see according to the ASCII codes, they are getting up the characters as A, B, C, F, Z. So what you defined will not order, right? So whatever you defined will not be an order of when you run it, when you check it. What comes according to the ordinals will be the order. Now, so in a set, what do you store actually, right? So the most important thing to be kept in the mind for the sets is like once you define anything in a set, that cannot be duplicated. And when I say duplicated, it means like see in the above y plus 3 comma there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. So 3 for the 2 times, but this is not in case of a set. So in case of a set, it is always 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Okay. So right, let's say this is f and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you see f, or if you see the type of this f, we'll find it to be a set. But if I say, like, if you want to add any element in a set, you can write it just add and write the elements. So done, right? So it will affect the set. But if I write such an element which is present inside the set previously, that is not going to affect my set, right? Can you see any difference now? So there cannot be any duplicacy, right? So if you write this statement in case of a list or in case of a tuple, you might could get the difference, right? Not might, you must get the difference over there, right? It will be added up. But in a case of a set, it is not such, right? Oh, we have got so many questions. 1 minute, let me just read it there. Explain pop. Okay. Which one is more appropriate, append or extend? Uh, use extend, that's nice. Pop is used to delete. Okay, Ria has cleared. Nice. necessities at details of time, complexity, and which is more efficient methods in your estimation. Didn't get you. Use sort method in tuple. Okay. I've read all the questions. Just complete of the things, then we'll go up with the questions part. Okay. Now, in a set, right? Once you have defined up the things for adding up, like in the list we have extend method, in the set we have update method. So if I write update and side there, if I write it as 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, 89. Okay. Oh, sorry, G is not in there. F is. So if you see your F, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 89, and 25 and all. Okay. Fine. So this is like the update and the add, how it works. But in the case, right, let's say you want to just delete up the elements from the set. So you have three methods: pop, discard, and remove. Now what it does, so in the discard, okay, let's just start it with the remove. So if you remove any element which is there in the set, it will be removed. That's nice. Okay. And if you remove it with the discard method, the element present inside the set will be removed. And with the pop, it's nice, right? The last element will be there. Or any random. In the case of the set, it is a random number which will be there. So F is now 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or if you just want to see it for the pop, many of students have doubts in the pop of a set. So it remove and return an arbitrary set element. Okay, nice. Now, so what is the difference between this remove and discard? Why this one more option is there for the discard? So in case if I remove such an element which is not even present inside the set, will raise a key error. But in case if I remove this and I write it with the discard, what happens? No error will be raised, right? So this operation will not be performed, right? It would be just like a pass statement that will not do anything, right? That is not made for doing anything, just for, you can say, a null statement, kind of. Okay, fine. So these are the methods inside some list, right? Okay. Now, moving up, let's say this is my A. Just let's do a bit fast now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is B. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, if I want to see all the elements, what I can do is I can make a C and I can write A dot union of B. C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is a union of A and B. Now if you want to find out the common elements within the set A and set B, it would be A and B, the common elements. The difference in the set A with respect to the set B would be A minus B. And the difference in the set B with respect to the set A would be B minus A. Write A union B. So this is the A union B, and also you can use A dot union of B. And for the common elements, you can also use this intersection or the and. So you're getting the same things, and such like the difference and all you can write. So what there is something called as symmetric difference. So it gives you the output after removing, right? If you have written A dot symmetric difference of B, so it will remove the elements from the A and B, the common elements, and you'll be only getting up the uncommon elements within both the sets. So uncommon elements within both the sets is 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8. So 4, 5, which is a common one, has been removed. Not removed, like you will see an output up by removing those things. But from the original contents, it will not be removed now. Okay. But if you use the methods like a dot symmetric difference update, in those cases you will only find so now if you see A, you will find it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And now the A value from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. That is, whatever the first element you write, what the first set you write there, and you update it. So the symmetric difference value, whatever it comes, will be just updated inside the set, the first set what you have written. So that the second set value will be taken as with the first set as a symmetric difference and will be updated the value in the first set. That is how symmetric. Similarly, same for the difference update works and intersection update works and like that. Okay. So if we say that, let's say this is my A and this is 1 and 2, and this is my B, this is like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I write if A is a subset of B, so that means that every element of A must be present inside the B.
Sir, I think you missed one S in subset.
Maybe. I might have missed this S first one. Okay, so if it is a subset, you will be getting a subset. If it's not a subset, then right. Similarly, if I write let's find the superset be a superset of A, it will be correct, right? So these are the things you can make it in the set. So when you take the inputs, what are the things you store in the list? What are the things you store in tuple? What are the things you store in sets, right? Let's say you are taking usernames. You are making an application, you are storing usernames. So when you are storing usernames, you must store those things inside the set so that there should not be any duplicate elements. There should not be any duplicate usernames. When you store it in the list, it will not be much effective, right? But when you store passwords, make sure they store in the list because the user may update his password, right? When you store in the tuple, he could not update. When you store in the set, if a user is coming with a duplicate password, right? Any different user is having may have the same password, so he cannot create then, right? So that is important to store other things accordingly to the data types if you are making a project with that reference. Okay, cool. Next we have dictionary. Now what is dictionary? DICT. So it is a collection of a data in some key and values pair, the very basic language if we go, right? So keys here are exactly your index helping, right? Whenever you go to find, yeah, the main important thing when you go in the set and you can find up the things a of 0 or such kind. So set as object is not subscriptable, right? Indexing not done in. Indexing not done in the sets. Now when we go to find up here, so since the order what you write of the things is not there in the order, so the indexing is not there. And when in the case of a dictionary, we define a dictionary as in the curly braces and there the first one as the key and then the next as the value. And so does here is also important that you don't make any duplicate keys, right? If you make a duplicate key, see what happens. Let's make a duplicate key, and now what are the keys of this M? Only K. And what is the value of that K? Only M. Now where is this value? B. It will be replaced, right? So don't make any duplicate keys. You can make duplicate values, that is not a big deal, right? That's not a... So see, this works like that, right? So with the use of dictionary, now dictionary is very important and is the last data type in the important in the last data type which we read in the Python, and very important in the respective data science, right? Because with the help of a dictionary, you make even the data sets, you make a lot of contents, you make some HTML file, you make some CSV file, Excel file, and all. You make it with the use of dictionary. So this is very important data type. Let's say if you make a dictionary, right? I had a data named as df. So what I'll do is I'll make it as d, and I'll just show you how to make a dictionary. Let's just say this is d. So what is this d? And you could find this to be a dictionary where this is a key survived. Inside the survived there is one another dictionary which key is 0 and the value starts from 0. Then again the key is 1, the value is 1. Key is 2, value is 1. And so does this goes for some time up to 891, I think it would be. Wait. Yep. So 800. Yes, and after this 890, another key came as P class, another values. So if we just look on the keys of this D, we find it to be survived, P class, the sex, the age, sibling, parts, and all of the things as the keys. Now, if we look onto the values will be quite big, right? Very large. So these are the values of this dictionary, and it is big. Now, so let's just make a dictionary of some subjects, right? Let it be marks, in science 89. And let it be there, right? So there are several keys. Now what are the keys? These are the keys. What are the values? These are the values. Now there is something called as item. Sorry, this is item. This item will print you everything. Sorry, this is items. So science 89, maths 98. So you'll be getting the respective keys and the respective values in the items enclosed within a tuple, and all keys and all the items enclosed within a list. Okay. So like if you find and here how you do of the indexing, like you write what are the marks in the mathematics. So it is 98. What is the marks inside this English? This is 93. And that is how it can be done. When you apply for I and a marks dot the keys, and you want to find all the keys, you just print up this I, and you could look at there. These are the keys, right? Similarly, if you want the values to, you can write I and then the mar of this I, and you could find to be the marks and then the subjects and the marks, and this can also be found with the use of for I in this marks dot the items, and there you could use this print I respective things you'll be getting up there. Okay, this is how dictionary works, right? So let's say if I'm saying you that I want to make a data basically, so data frame of this marks, so all scalar value. Okay, so you could find it there that this is the marks of the people, right? If you define different marks, there could be different marks, right? We have even defined just one marks, so we could do it as let's say here as there's 89, 88, 87, 86. Okay, now you would be starting up your data science part from tomorrow, so just giving a glance, 96, 95, and 79, oh sorry, 78, 77, 76, it's 93, sorry, 92, 91, and 90, right? So this is your dictionary. Something wrong there. Commas are not there. Fine, yeah. So now instead of giving the indexes there, so I'll just write there some names. Let's say for John, let's say for Gary, and was Monty, and you can find it to be the marks out there. So something updated, right? Isn't it updated? We'll just write to be a PDF data frame of this marks. So does the marks vary, right? You can see if the marks 89, 98, 79, 93, 88, 97, 78, 92, and all these things. So 86, 87, 88, 89, 95, 96, 97, 98, and so does. You make data frames accordingly. Now from here you find up the things like, let's say this is you will be doing it, all these pandas will be start up later, right? I'm just giving a view of what you can do with the dictionary. So you made this, and then you can find like what is the marks of the John. So if you only like you have lot of data and you want to see the marks of this John, this N. So John has got 89 in the science, mathematics 98, and such things. If you write this sort of the things like who have got the maximum number of marks in the mathematics, it means that you want to sort of the things. So like U of math dot the maximum value. So 98 is the maximum value, and you can even find who has got the the value of this all the things. And this is to be the data structures part, so we'll be going it on the later onwards. Now there is something called as functions. So what are functions? So functions are a program within a program, or you say a code within a code, where you have a program and you run that program, and until program what the inside one you call, that will be made of run, right? So that means that there will be a program and you define it using this def. What is this? Okay. It comes. So function, there you define up this function using def, and let's make it a function for taking up the names. So this is the name, and let's say you take an input and you write enter name. and split it. So print a welcome and the name of 0. Now what happens? This name function will only run when I call this. So instead of writing up this input and storing it in some variable, and let's say this is v. So instead of making it a variable there and then writing up there's 2 lines and making a project larger, and when you work with the project you work with more of the functions so that your project could be just minimized, right? I'll make you see a project out, how it is made up with the uses of the functions. So when you run this function name, this says that enter the name. So write anything. I think wrong spelling. Hmm.
V of 0.
This is the wrong thing. So they get it like this. So functions. So till now, what are the functions you are using was a built-in function, right? In Python, we even make our user-defined functions, and that is how it works. Let me just show you a code of how there is something. Human interface. So there was a project for this email interface. What we did, we take some username, passwords, and all. We made it in a sample data, then find out the keys, and it all was for a dictionary. And then we made a data frame with that dictionary. Just plotted up the males and females. Then we made a function for storing up the first names and all, and that stored the first name. Then we made a function for the user passwords, and then you just take the username, then you take the passwords, and then you check for various things like the length of the password should be 8, it should be alphanumeric, the first should be capital, and all, right, all the things. And then you take the function to store the date of births and the genders and all the such things, right? Then for the mobile numbers to generate even the OTPs and to check up the things. So like enter the mobile function, it asks for the enter the 10 digit mobile number you enter, and they get the OTP ending up with the number 517. Okay, and then you get the OTP in your verification. You enter the OTP, and you get some things like it is G hash something. There might be some errors. Uh, that is how it runs. Okay, and then you get the some genders. Then you run all the functions, right? First name, that is like say Satyam Kumar, user password. So giving an example how you can write. So you write the Gmail, and write the password. This DGP means date of birth, and you're getting up the things there. The mobile. So you write enter the OTP and this. So OTP is correct, then we'll go for please accept the terms and conditions. And then we made it something for more than 4 5 times, and then we made another data frame with such different no, not this one, yeah, so with some different of datas. Then we made a login function where we have made a list of login success and login failed, where we are going to take the input if a user is logging and he's giving some incorrect passwords, then we must not log in him. And then the alternate thing what we should do is we should store for a record that this user was trying to log in his account and he entered a wrong password at this particular time. So that was a function of this. So you see, and login function at this. Even if you want to store the date, you can even store the date too. So we have not made for the date, we have just stored for the times and all. So login function, let's say this is email ID, my email ID, I'm logging there, and the password, just I have entered anything, so incorrect password. So login success was for 18059, and login failed immediately at like I ran again and there was some login. So what we did is we made a total CSV of this all, and we made it there, and then it worked according to the data set. So now you run the login, it will be successful. If it is wrong, you'll be getting failed and all the outputs, and the program was made, the project was completed. So there are a lot of things you can do with the dictionaries. A lot more can be done, right? So in data science sectors, many importance are there with the dictionaries and the functions, right? So we completed up with our Python basic parts. Tomorrow we'll be going. The very basic thing tomorrow we'll be starting up is the SIMP. Okay, we are going to start up with the SIMP tomorrow. The first library we are going to learn. Okay.